Imagine yourself staring at a blank canvas. Your cursor is blinking, your canvas is blank, and your mind is empty at the screen before you. You lack or you have zero inspiration. You are feeling completely stuck. What I have just described right now is the state of mind of several designers as we speak that are currently on one project or the other. Hello, designers. Today we want to start a series that talks about graphic design challenges every designer struggle with. Okay, and today we are starting with the first one: creative block, the invisible wall of design paralysis. It is more than just a momentary pause in creativity. It's a psychological barrier, okay, that can make even the most talented designers feel completely stuck. And it isn't just frustration, it's a genuine professional challenge. So whether you're a newbie, you're mid-level, a professional, you must face creative block at some point in your creative career, or it can even be recurring depending on the state of things. But there's something you need to know. You don't have to fret. Where it becomes a problem is if you don't do anything about it. Today, I'm going to share with you some of my experiences, some of the things I have experienced that looks like creative block and how I've been able to mitigate them. And what this can also lead to is it can lead to missed deadlines. It can reduce your confidence level, and it can bring about professional anxiety, can even make you question your abilities. Okay, and some of the root cause of creative block often stems from several sources, but for me, some of the sources I have identified personally are overwhelming expectations, fear of imperfection, mental fatigue, lack of external inspiration, and repetitive workflow. So let's talk about fear of imperfection. You know how you have what's it called? There's a syndrome called trying to recall. Yeah, where you just feel like you are not enough, where you feel like you don't have what it takes. When you see other people do certain kind of projects, and despite the fact that time and again you've gotten kudos for the amazing job you've done, yet you still feel like you can't put out or you can't do that amount or that level of work. Whereas a lot of people have confidence in you, knowing fully whether you can put it out. So you see that fear, right, of imperfection. And then talking about the overwhelming expectation. So a situation where you come highly recommended. And because you came highly recommended, you know, to whom much is given, much is expected. You want to be able to deliver above and beyond. And you can easily be caught up in that web such that you begin to struggle to come up with even a direction for your design. Okay. And then lack of inspiration. I mean, for every designer or every creative out there, beginner, mid-level, we all need inspiration to as a boost. Okay, no matter what you are doing, and inspiration can come in any form. It doesn't necessarily have to be maybe design, or it can come in any form. It can even be a call from your loved ones that can even boost your morale to, you know, dive into the design, or it can even be a song you've just listened to, you know, that had helped you put your thoughts together and put you in that mood, you know, to jump right into that that project or that design project to be particular. Okay, a typical example would be so currently I experienced something close to that just this week. So I have like a report to deliver on, and I'm not talking about just report. I'm talking about report, 2 years report for an organization to deliver. But the challenge with that report is it's coming in late. Okay, where I work, it's coming in late, and I have a short period of time to deliver on this report before we go for our Xmas break. Okay, now because of the time frame, it's I'm finding it very difficult to gather my thoughts and jump right into that report because um, the content itself is quite unique compared to what I anticipated. So I have to speak to myself all over again and rethink how to come up with a strategy for templating that report so that it can be easy for me. So that inspiration is not there at the moment. But what I have tried to do is I've tried to pick up some parts of this report that I feel are easier to work on so that it can put me in that space, headspace, to proceed with the other parts of the report. So that's one form. Now, repetitive work pattern. Another typical example is we concluded a project recently. The design project was for a Pan-African conference where great minds from across Africa met in Lagos, Nigeria, you know, and for close to 1 month, we had lots of back and forth on a flyer I designed, correction, put this, put that, remove this, remove that, for close to 1 month. And what this did to me, I got to a point where I lost interest in that project because it was beginning to look repetitive for me. But because I didn't have any choice and we were running short of time, I need to put myself back in that state of mind. And this is something you would do as a creative a whole lot of time because it's either you're running against deadline or you have somebody who is expecting you to deliver on your task so that they can carry on with theirs. Okay. So you have to consciously get yourself out of that state and put yourself in a position where your creative juice can flow. So back to that story, 2 weeks to that event, I had to forcefully put myself in that mental state. And what also helped was we started working on several other assets around that particular event, and that helped boost my creative juice to continue with that project. So repetitive work patterns can also contribute to creative block. So some of these things I've mentioned are things that I have experienced. I don't know what you have experienced. I would like you to also go into the comment section, and comment some of the ways you have experienced creative block. And why I say these things is so that when you see these things and identify them, you will know how to approach them. And I believe to combat this, designers must develop that toolkit of inspiration technique or rekindling technique, to curb that. And this might involve creating a structured mood board. I know lots of designers out there or creatives out there understand what I mean, whether you're a photographer, you know, you understand what I mean by a mood board. And what mood board does for you is it helps you channel your energy in a particular direction and give it your best. It reduces the time you have to think through inspiration and the creative direction, right? It guides you to know what your final output is supposed to look like, right? And the things to look out for in your design. So oftentimes with mood boards, uh, it can help you combat creative block, especially if you're not the type that starts your design with a mood board. I know sometimes it's not the cases are not really that ideal, right? But it does help. And this is where I would like to say I think Pinterest does not get the accolade it deserves enough. Pinterest is not sponsoring this video, but time again and again within my creative career, I have been able to jump to Pinterest, to draw inspiration from real work or real jobs that have been done by real designers. Okay, because I have come to realize that most of the jobs or most of the designs you see on Pinterest are actually real life designs. So what it does for me, it helps me look at how people have been able to approach certain design projects, the style, their direction, what their thought process looked like. Okay. And what that now does for me is I'm able to do a collection of projects that have similar output, and I'm able to draw inspiration from each of those designs to create what I need to create. And this helps me speed up my workflow. All right. And then exploring diverse creative platforms like Behance and Dribble. So I'm not really a fan of Dribble, so to speak, because I, and this is my personal opinion, I kind of feel like Dribble is great, by the way, but I kind of feel like what Dribble have is are not mostly real life projects. When I mean real client projects. I feel like to a large extent, most of the designs on Dribble are personal projects. And what that does is most personal projects do not have some guidelines, so to speak, more like like proper commercial briefs. So people go all out and do what they feel kind of. But with Pinterest here, it helps me see what's actually obtainable in real life, in real design projects, and how I can implement them. Okay. So one other thing is stepping away from digital world to find inspiration in nature, art galleries, or unexpected urban landscapes, right? And I mean, I feel like a couple of designers, a lot of designers do this a lot. You know how you get stuck at some point and you just want to walk away. Either you go have lunch, or you just listen to music, or you go call a friend, or you watch a movie, you play video game, or you just take a walk. All right. And we can always testify that by the time you come back to that same project, you realize that you have a better flow, creative flow. You can try design challenges. Okay, that's if you have time, or if you have the time, you can try design challenges. By the time you do 2 or 3 different design challenges, your inspiration can come back, and then you can experiment with different color palettes. So this in particular, I would like to expatiate on this. So there is this case where you have a brief, and within that brief you've had your conversation with a client and you have agreed on what the color palettes would look like. Okay. And along the line, while you're designing, more often than not, I have discovered that sometimes that particular color palette kind of stifles my design flow sometimes. Okay. But then that had been agreed upon. Do you want to change the color palette for that had been agreed upon? No. So sometimes what you might do is, step out of the box for a while. For that same design, apply a different color palette. Okay. What happens oftentimes is you begin to realize that there are other possibilities, design possibilities using a different color palette. And as soon as those possibilities begins to open up before you begin, your creative juice begins to flow. And what I now do is, as soon as I have realized that that juice has started flowing and I'm beginning to design, what I now do is I take that design and incorporate it into, permit me to use the word, that stubborn color palette. Okay. So that can also help sometimes, and it has helped me different times. Okay. And then you can even decide to sketch. A real life example, I have a friend in the office. He focuses by sketching. He just doodles things, he doodles and doodles. I was asking him, bro, why do you do this? In the midst of this whole chaos, trying to meet up with you, just calm doodling. He said, doodling helps him focus. That by the time he would doodle for like 5 minutes, his creative juice comes back and he's pumped. And I have seen that work for him time and again. Excuse me. So these are the real life experiences that I have, and you can also try them out or discover what works in particular for you. Okay. So far, so good. This is like episode 1 of Design Challenge that designers face or creatives face, and it's creative block. I want you all to keep practicing, stay curious, and keep designing. If you find this video helpful, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with your biggest design challenge. Okay? Until next time, ciao.